2024 through 2027, according to the Retirement Income Institute, more than 11,200 people will turn 65 every day. That represents 4.1 million people in America per year. According to a 2024 401k participant study by Charles Schwab, people believe they need 1.8 million to retire comfortably. Northwest Mutual's 2024 Planning and Progress study, people believe they need 1.46 million. Guys, in 2022, the median retirement savings for people 55 to 74 ranged between $185 and $200,000. There is a huge disconnect between what people think, what they actually have saved. Hey guys, welcome back to Old Guy Talks Money. Today, I want to break this myth. So much stress and inner turmoil about retirement and this belief that you have to have $1 million. You know, that it kind of used to be the threshold. And you heard the numbers that I just gave you from two studies. One was 1.8 million and one was 1.46 million. And if the median for 55 to 74 ranges between $185 to $200,000, there's a really big disconnect. So let's talk about that, because it's my belief people are just wrong. Now, before we get started, I want to say a thank you for all the people who have been watching the videos, leaving comments. If you're enjoying it, please hit that like and subscribe. I'll throw a little thing up there to remind you in a minute, and let's jump in. So a little backstory. You know, creating content for the channel is one of those things that you're constantly thinking about video ideas. And one of the things that I've been studying pretty closely, because I've done some videos on COLAs on Social Security and Social Security break even, was about the taxability of Social Security. Because I don't know if y'all know this or not, but Social Security can be taxable. There's a formula that the IRS uses to determine if a portion of your Social Security is taxable. So I built a model. I'm going to show it to you in a minute, because I really kind of have Frankensteined a spreadsheet to kind of illustrate my point. But I started there and I built the model. And as I went through the process, one of the other videos that I wanted to address was this one. And I realized the two are they're just joined at the hip. That can't really talk about portfolio and saving without also talking somewhat about taxation. Now, here's the caveat. I am going to show you a model that will project a portfolio size, will help you see the impact of Social Security taxation. It will show you a tax-adjusted potential adjustment to your portfolio. I'm going to walk you through all that. Here's the thing. This is somewhat streamlined. This is not a tax preparation software package, okay? It's not TurboTax. It's not H&R Block. This is broad strokes for the vast majority of us out there, okay? So caveat, this is not to be plug my numbers in and I'm going to get my tax for the year. This is just broad strokes to illustrate the point. So I'm going to pull up the spreadsheet. I'm going to walk you through the math, and then we'll go through there. Okay, guys, so here's the spreadsheet. I'm going to walk you through the gist of it. A couple things I want to focus on. The first thing is kind of breaking this myth that you need $1 million or 1.46 or 1.8 million to retire. Okay? So I have lined this out for single, married, head of household. The reason I did that was so that I could calculate the tax impacts on Social Security. I also have tried to pre-populate some average annual spending amounts, okay? That's what this is. These are loose numbers. You know, if you Google this, you're going to get all kinds of ranges. I've set it up so that you can put in whatever you want right here, okay? So let's start with a single person. Let's assume $3,000 a month. That's on average what they're going to spend every year. I did add a place that if they wanted to say, okay, but I want to take a $2,000 vacation also, that they could put that. I'll show you how this does. This is the average Social Security, and that's based on, it's roughly 1,900 some change times 12. Here's a place that you could put in other income, like interest income or an annuity or a pension, so that you could determine, you know, again, what we're trying to come down to is how much do I have to fund out of a portfolio? Okay, that's what this number is right here. All right. So this is assuming if I want to spend $36,000 a year, I'm going to get $23,712 in Social Securities. That means I have to take $12,288 out from my portfolio. All right. We calculate how much portfolio we need by using a really good rule of thumb called the 4% rule. 4% rule was created by a guy by the name of William Bingen. It basically says in a properly allocated portfolio, the idea here is that a properly allocated portfolio between fixed income and equities, that you can take out 4% a year the first year, adjust for inflation every subsequent year, and it will last 30 years. Get this number right here by taking the shortfall that we need, dividing it by 0.04, that's that number. All right. And I want to stop right there. We're not going any further because I want to illustrate the point. You notice none of these numbers in all of these examples using an average annual expense amount and average Social Security amounts require a portfolio anywhere near as big as 1 million, 1.46 million, or $1.8 million. None of these do. I know, and there was a study done that said 73% of Americans feel that the number one stressor in their life is money, financial issues. This concept or idea that we have to have all this money saved for retirement, it's causing us all this stress, it's just not right. And I'm going to stop right there. Okay, you can't see me holding my finger up. I'm stopping right here. I want to make sure I'm clear. I'm not telling you, oh, this is what I think is going to happen. I've got this much. Let's stop. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that this tells you that you can do it. More is always better. Money does not buy happiness, but what it does do is relieve a whole lot of stress and makes things much easier. It's not going to make your life perfect. You can take that stressor off the table. That will make your life so much easier. Okay, so that was my point. Based on these numbers right here, you do not need this amount. Okay, now if you want to, we'll play with this a little bit because I want to show you a couple other things. Down here, I am calculating the tax impact. Okay, so what this is doing, it's saying this is the amount that I've got to pull from portfolio, and y'all, I'm assuming that this is taxable. Okay, so this becomes my AGI. You had any tax exempt income, you put it here, and then you put 50% of your Social Security. This creates what the IRS calls provisional income. Okay, so AGI plus any tax exempt income plus half your Social Security, and then it compares it to these thresholds. Okay, so there's a 50% threshold, so anything in excess of 25 up to 34. For married, it's 32 to 44. And so they tax either at 50% or 85%. You can see I walk through the entire math. Okay, that's how we calculate this component. Once we get done with that, here's your AGI over any taxable Social Security, less your standard deductions, and here's down here where it calculates the tax. Now, why is this important? Is because if all I'm doing is taking distributions to fund my retirement and it's taxable, then that puts pressure on this number right here that you can't take this out in gross dollars. Okay, so let me see if I can show you an example. So let's go over here and let's say that I had a $25,000 pension. Now I'm going to show you something interesting. You notice these numbers went blank. Why is that? Well, this was designed to say, how much do I need to fund my spending shortfalls? Not saying you don't need to save. It's just saying between Social Security and your other income that you really are covering all of your expenses. Telling you not to have money saved, just telling you what I was trying to do was prove the point that the number that you need to fund this shortfall is much, much smaller. So let's keep on going down. If you said, oh, Guy, where does this number come from? I don't get this. Well, think about what's happening. Scroll right here. All right, so we have $25,000 worth of adjusted gross income. Okay, that's that number right there. Again, we're assuming it's taxable, coming from a pension or a taxable annuity, or interest income. Let's say we have no tax exempt income. So we walk through the math. We have provisional 48,712, and you end up over here. I can get to it with $10,000 of that being taxable. Over here, take the 25, add the taxable Social Security, less your standard deduction. You get your taxable income. Calculate your tax. Now, this math right here is one of those things that will break your brain, because what this is saying is I need an additional $501 to pay the tax, which means I got to take $501 out of my portfolio. Well, think about it. If I take $501 out, this number goes up, which creates more tax. So this is a formula that essentially tax adjusts this number that says if you take this amount out, it will cover the tax. Okay. You do the exact same thing, divide this by 0.04, and this says that's your additional tax adjust savings needed. In other words, taking money out of my portfolio, which we weren't, but to pay the tax, I've got to have at least $13,903 to cover that amount. That's what I'm trying to illustrate there. Other thing I did with the model was said, okay, let's zero this out and let's go over to this person right here. All right. $12,288, that's coming out. We know that we're assuming, my assumption going in is that taxable, it's coming out of a traditional IRA or 401k. But what if this was really funded by a Roth IRA? I put it in down here. What it does is Roth IRA distributions are not part of adjusted gross income. They do not go into this calculation of Social Security tax. So if you do this, then your AGI goes to zero, and you can see that there is no tax impact here, and that $307,000 should be enough because you are in a tax-free situation at that point. All right, so here is the big picture takeaway. I did a lot of math. I Frankensteined a spreadsheet. I probably overcomplicated this, but I wanted to make sure that I took all aspects into consideration, because it's an important topic. But what it boils down to me is that based on average expenses, average Social Security, this belief that we need $1.46 to $1.8 million to retire comfortably is just wrong. Now, go back to what I said earlier. I am not telling you that more is not better. I am not telling you that once you get to this point or whatever point you think, you just stop. Need to be prudent. What I'm trying to do is relieve the stress and the concern that people feel like I'm never going to be able to retire. I'm never going to get there, when they may be a lot closer than they think. I've done a couple spreadsheets. I've made them available if you want them. I will throw my email address up there. It's oldguytalksmoney@gmail.com. Y'all are welcome to have it. So guys, that wraps it up for this time. I hope this helped y'all feel better, that, this number out here, this $1.46 million, $1.8 million is so big that it just seems like it's not attainable. And the fact of the matter is, probably never needed that amount to start with. So one more time, if you've enjoyed the content, hit the like and subscribe. It will help me grow the channel, and I will see you guys in the future.